In this video, we will look at part 2 of how to insert slide transitions and animation effects. So in the previous video, in part 1, we looked at how to insert slide transitions and how to insert animation effects up until step 3. So in this video, we're going to continue on with step 4. So we'll go to step 4 now. Let's set the text boxes to fade in. Okay, and the avatar, fade in. And this Let's Break It Down button, we'll have that fade in as well. And let's make sure the properties are set to go back to the initial state. Yep. And let's go to the juggling ball animation. And we'll make sure that these are to fade in, these juggling balls here. Okay, so now let's go back to the main screen and we'll preview the slide. For step 4, now we're ready to try the real thing. Start with 2 balls in your dominant hand and 1 ball in the other hand. Throw the first 2 balls as in the previous step, but this time, before the second ball lands, throw the third ball. Practice catching all 3 balls. Okay, so that looks good. So we're going to go set the Let's Break It Down lightbox slide now, which is connected to this slide. So go to the Let's Break It Down slide right here. And we'll set the avatar and the caption to fade in. And we'll set the juggling balls to fade in as well. So I'm hitting Control on the keyboard so I can select more than one at a time. And now for these ones, we're going to set some different animations on these text boxes and these buttons here. So they're all kind of on top of each other because we need them to come in the same spot. But to find them more easily, you can either go over here in the triggers panel here, or down in the timeline and select them that way. So it's whatever you're more comfortable with. So we can start here, maybe with the buttons. So you can see button 1 here. If I click here, you see it highlights. So then we know we're talking about that one. And there are other buttons underneath, so this makes sure that we're clicking on the right ones. And then we're going to go up to animation, and we'll set this to fly in for a duration of 0.75 seconds. And it will be from the bottom, so just leave the default. And we'll do that for each of these buttons here. So go over here, click on that one to get button 2 for ball 2, and go to fly in. And then go down to button 3, fly in. And then button 4, which is underneath this one, same thing, fly in. Button 5, fly in. That one's also underneath. And button 6, fly in. And now for the text boxes here and the retry button. Okay, so let's go down the timeline to find these because these triggers are connected to the buttons, but we need to actually click on the text boxes. So go here to start here. And then you can see it's highlighting underneath there, and set that to fly in from the left this time. So from the left, and we want to up that duration to 1 second. Then click on the next text box, which is repeat in the opposite direction. This one right here. And fly in from the left, duration of 1 second. And then the retry button, we want to have that zoom in. And we can leave the defaults for that. And let's go to the slide properties now just to make sure that it says reset to initial state. That's good. We're good there. And now let's preview this slide, see what it looks like, see if we need to change anything. So you saw it slid in there, and now we're going to click on these buttons here. And then those slide up again. This one slides from the left. And then the button zooms in and you hit retry. Okay, so that one's done. Save that. Now let's go to step 5. And again, let's set these text boxes to fade in. And we'll set those to fade. And the avatar and the button here, set those to fade. And we'll verify the properties, reset to initial state. And then we'll go to the juggling animation layer and we'll make sure these are fading in as well. And we'll go back to step 5 here. And now let's just preview that. In step 5, try to make it continuous. Instead of stopping after the third catch, start over by throwing the next ball in the sequence. This is normally the hardest part, but it just takes practice. Once you get a feel for it once, it will get easier. So practice, practice, practice. Congrats, you just learned how to juggle. Okay, so that looks good. Now let's go set the light box slide. So that's this one right here. And we'll set the avatar and the caption and the juggling balls to fade in. And now we'll set the juggling balls to fade in. And then we'll set similar animations on these text boxes here and the retry button and the ball animations. So again, you can click over here for some of them so that you can select the right ones, or you can use the timeline to find them. So let's go through the triggers panel over here, and I'll click on this one first for ball 1, and we will set that to fly in. And we'll leave the default from the bottom, 0.75 seconds. And button 2, fly in. Button 3, fly in. Button 4, which is underneath, fly in. Button 5, fly in. Button 6, fly in. Button 7 is the retry button. We'll come back to that in a second. So button 8, that's also underneath, because this one we show the sequence 3 times. So 9 balls. Fly in. Button 9, fly in. And button 10, fly in. Now let's go down to the timeline to make it easier to find the text boxes. So click on Start here and go to Fly In from the left, duration of 1 second, and then click on Repeat Opposite Direction, Fly In from the left, duration of 1 second, and then click on Then Keep Going, fly in from the left, duration of 1 second, and then the retry button. We're going to zoom that and keep all the default settings here for that. And now let's double check the slide properties. Reset to initial state, that's good. And now let's preview. So I'll click on the balls, ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, slides in, that slides over. Then keep going and retry. There we go. Now let's go to knowledge check 1 and we'll set animation effects on this slide. Let's have the numbers fade in. So a lot of this is up to you, it's your preference, but I chose certain things and you can either follow it or you can do it your own way. So I'm going to set fade animations on these. So we can actually highlight those all at once. And the avatar and the juggling balls and the caption all fade in. Okay, so those are set. The layers we'll leave as is for this because it was automatically set because this is a question slide. And for the properties, I'm going to leave it at automatically decide because it is a question slide as well. So let's just go preview. Okay, so everything just faded in. So that's all we need to look at. Now let's go to the remediation slide for this one. Knowledge check 1 remediation. And let's fade in all these elements here. So I'm just going to highlight the whole area just to make it a little easier. And to make sure I'm selecting everything. So that should be everything. And if it's not, just hit Control. There we go. Now I got the avatar in there. And go to fade. Okay, there we go. And go to the properties slide. And I'm going to leave it as the default for this as well, just because it doesn't really matter. There's no initial state. It's just showing what the answer is. Okay, so let's go preview that. Okay, so that's it for that one. And now let's go to knowledge check 2. And let's just set the avatar and the caption to fade in for this. And again, we'll leave the slide properties alone at the default settings. And the layers we'll leave alone because it's a question slide. So let's just go preview that. There we go. And the simulation slide. Let's just add effects on the caption here and the avatar to fade in. And the properties, let's just make sure this one is set for initial state. Yep, reset to initial state. And let's just preview that now. There we go. And last but not least, the summary slide. Okay, so I think we already set the animations on these because I can see the star here. So I'll just go double check, wipe for 0.75 seconds from the bottom. And this one, float in. Float up, there we go. And we'll make sure the summary slide is set to reset to initial state. No, it's not, so let's change that. Okay, and now let's preview. All right, so that's pretty much it for setting entrance animations and slide transitions. So later we'll preview the whole course, but for now we just went through and previewed each one separately to make sure we're setting all these things. So in the next video, we will look at how to create a navigation lightbox slide so that learners will know how to interact with your online course.